Welcome back to the Sunday Spread Divisional Round. It's time. This is the best weekend of football all year long.
No question.
Again, you got 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Each one matters. Each one is going to be good. Each one is going to give you explosive plays, legendary moments. It's legacy-making time. I said that last week. It means even more this week. So we're going to cover it all as always. Devin Caney on my left, Barrett Brooks on my right. I am Sean Bell. How y'all doing this week?
Great weekend, like you said, man. This is what it's all about. You know, this is where the cream rises to the top. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Tippity top, tippy. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm excited. Really great slate of 4 games. Eagles are still in it, so no complaints here.
I have complaints.
Oh, I know.
Last weekend.
I'm honestly like I came into this show kind of dreading it because I'm like, here's how it's gonna go. We're gonna get to the Eagles-Rams game. Barrett and Kenny are gonna say that the Rams are actually playing really good football and they can win, and then Barrett and I are gonna argue with them. And there's really no argument for the Rams here unless you're a hater. So
wow, this is a preemptive strike. I wasn't even talking about that.
I had to get ahead of it.
I was talking about my picks from Wild Card Weekend. But you said I'm gonna come out the gates letting y'all know.
Yeah.
Fired.
I'm not here for y'all BS. Kenny, you're gonna jump in later.
How about that?
And have something to say.
Packers are pretty good. They're gonna. Matt LaFleur's a better coach than Nick Sirianni.
I think the Packers played. Jordan Love played awful.
Did they cover the spread?
They didn't. Mm-hmm. But you have to admit it was a much tougher game than you thought it was going to be.
Just because the Eagles' offense didn't do much.
Why?
I don't know.
Maybe because the Packers' defense is a little bit better than you thought they would be.
Well, the Eagles' defense broke the Packers' offense.
Huh?
Broke them.
Yeah.
I understand that. And again, that's a lot of Jordan Love. And again, the Packers, what I didn't expect was so many unforced errors, like the first play of the game. Mm-hmm. Right, which is basically killed, in my opinion, when that happened. I said,
that was a forced error. That was a forced error.
No, I thought that was you just got tackled. I know you got hit hard.
He put his face in his neck.
That's an unforced error. Like you can't fumble that. But regardless, it was the spread. They were over the spread.
Right.
Certainly a tighter, more intense game than I think most Eagles fans thought it would be. It wasn't a rollover because the Packers defense played really well. You got some
secondary
all pros. You got some Pro Bowlers. You got some guys that are really good. But that was my entire point. Because I said last week, I don't know if I said it to y'all or on radio. I said Eagles fans, after they play the Packers, are going to come in here after a win, because I said they would win, and say, I hate this and I hate that and I hate that. And my whole point was, don't be mad after a win against the Packers because you didn't blow them out.
Right.
Because the Packers are better than what you think. That was my whole point. The Eagles are just fine. It's just the Packers were underrated, in my opinion. Obviously, that offense.
Well,
it was terrible. And Jordan Love, again, forced errors and unforced errors. Jordan Love played terrible football, so that defense was able to get it done. But I think the Eagles are fine. I just think the Packers defensively were a better team than most people thought.
Love is what we thought he was. He was exactly what I thought he was.
I'm going to have a game for y'all. It wasn't in the rundown, but I'm going to throw it to y'all in this segment in a little bit about overrated and underrated.
Right.
So we're going to get to Jordan Love talk. But in general, how were your picks? I went 3 for 3. It wasn't very good.
Right. I mean, there's no way.
Wait, you went 3 for 3?
Well, yeah, 3. Well, I went 3 for 6. But my record was 3 and 3. So
yeah, 3 and
3.
Words matter. My bad. My record was 3 and 3. Yeah. I was like, tough week. Again, I got the Chargers wrong.
I got that one wrong.
I got the Buccaneers wrong.
I got that one wrong.
And I
got that one wrong.
And I got the Minnesota Vikings wrong.
I got that one wrong, too. And dead wrong, too. Like, it wasn't even close. I thought it was going to at least be close. It seemed like all my picks just rolled over. You know what I'm saying? They just rolled over and played dead. Come on now. I mean, at least give me a fight chance. Sam Darnold was who Sam Darnold I thought he was. He almost got him now. Yeah. He almost got the Vikings.
I know.
He almost got him.
It's kind of ironic that we spend, at least for me, I spent all season saying, like, well, Sam Darnold, everyone is underrating him because they think that he's Sam Darnold of the past. And then in the end, he really did just turn out to be the Sam Darnold of the past. I don't know if he's banged up or what, but, like, I think the Vikings were dead upon arrival in that game. Remember earlier in the season we talked about the Lions. There's like a name for it, like the Lions curse, basically, where every team that played the Lions lost the following week because they got so beat up. That came back into play I think, with the Vikings. Like they were beat up from getting crushed by the Lions, and I just think that they were not even in it to begin with against the Rams, who were playing with all that energy, like playing for LA, and there was all that pomp and circumstance before the game, as there should be. But I think that they were just like, there was no stopping the LA Rams last week against the Vikings.
But that bad?
It was bad. It was
right. Like, I
bad.
understand you got some things going around that may make the.
Who do you put it on?
Bad?
Like, was it all Sam Darnold? I know his O line kind of collapsed too.
No, I think it's more so. He had the perfect support system, the perfect coaches to put him in the best situation it was. Kind of like, when the Eagles won a Super Bowl and Nick Foles, it was the perfect storm on giving him the offense after the first game against the Falcons. I mean, we got simply our butts kicked, but we won the game against the Raiders because we were running an offense that wasn't suited to what he does. Mm-hmm. But then they went back, looked at the film, what Chip Kelly did with him, and from that point on, they're running that offense, and it worked out great for him. So from that point on, he was able to go out there and execute the game plan because it was his game plan. I think with Sam Darnold, he got the perfect storm with these coaches, put him in great position. Plus, he has some great players playing for him. Mm-hmm. They totally shut down the best receiver on the field.
But you talk about game plans, and I heard this on the broadcast. Aaron Glenn, the week before, Detroit Lions were able to shut down Minnesota Vikings. And they were talking about how they basically took that same defensive game plan and rolled it over to the next week. And that's what the Rams used against the Vikings, that Sam Darnold and that offensive coaching staff just couldn't figure out.
Right.
Because you saw a lot of moments. I'm like, Sam, throw it away.
Right.
What are you doing? Why are you holding the ball? He looked confused.
That's second and fourth quarter?
He hasn't looked that way all season. He looked confused.
Lost, yep.
He looked absolutely confused what to do with the rock. So that was disappointing. Again, speaking of disappointments, Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I mean, the Texans have been underwhelming all year long.
Right, right.
And then all of a sudden they look like the team that I picked to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they look good.
All of a sudden they look like that team.
Yeah.
I don't believe that they're going to be that team, but they look like that team.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
They better not say Herbert and Jalen Hurts in the same sentence ever again. They should never say he's one of the top quarterbacks.
For, the Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
I don't even know what word I'm like, but like there's that faction of fans who are.
I'll take him.
Justin Herbert.
Are you still though after that game?
Are you kidding me?
We're gonna get to that in a minute. I got a game for y'all.
Okay.
I'm still team Justin Herbert 100%.
Okay.
But the other upset, Commanders, Buccaneers. I know Eagles fans are happy. You happy you got the Buccaneers up out of here. That was, I guess it shouldn't have been a surprise because the Washington Commanders had a better record this season.
Right.
But the Buccaneers being the veteran team, the team that's been there before, the team that's won a playoff game before, I think we all assumed that the Buccaneers would get that W because of that.
Well, and I mean, I'm curious to know how many clutch wins the Commanders have this season compared to like any other team. It seems like they're setting a record. Every game comes down to the wire, and they somehow pull it off. It is impressive. I thought what has been the Commanders' weakness throughout the entire season in their defense, and we'll get into their game against the Lions this week, I think it will still be their downfall against the Lions, but like that Bucs offense that's been so good recently with Mike Evans, your guy, with Baker Mayfield, who is playing really well. I didn't think that it would be a match for them, and I was wrong. And it was impressive by Jaden Daniels. I don't think that they're going to win this week, but I was definitely wrong about that one.
There still may be a chance, man. And I think the major reason
I would love if they beat the Lions.
Oh, no question.
I might be rooting for the Commanders a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
That one, but I don't think that they will.
But they got healthy at the right time. Like, people don't understand how good Jonathan Allen is. Jonathan Allen's back. He hadn't been – when we played both games we played against him, he wasn't on the field. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been on the field all season. He's back now. So Payne and Allen, the Alabama connection, those guys that might be the best tandem of tackles in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Allen and Payne are that good. Now, when you have both of them there, you can't just double team Payne. They double team Payne all day. You can't do it now because Jonathan Allen's there. That's big, and because they both can stop the run and pass. So his addition being back is you know, their defense is far and away a better defense just because of that. And then Marshawn Lattimore also got healthy. So both of those guys being healthy now, it turned that defense all the way around. Yeah. All the way around.
Yeah. They looked it.
Yeah.
Again, Jaden Daniels doing what he's doing as a rookie. again, I thought, hey, you're going to get punched in the mouth as a rookie. Mm-hmm. Todd Bowles? I mean, that was our argument. Todd Bowles against a rookie? Come on now. He figured a way. And again, Kenny just said they won their last – Kenny's just like 5 games they won on the last play. The last 5 games they won. That's
same against us,
unbelievable.
Same against the Eagles.
Let me get to the game that I was talking to you guys about. I'm just putting it on y'all by surprise. We're going to play a game of overrated or underrated quarterback style.
We're doing it now.
Right now.
Okay.
Overrated or underrated? Because it's based off of what some of these guys did last week. Not based on totally that, but I want to see how you guys feel about these quarterbacks now that after these performances. Sam Darnold, overrated or underrated?
Well, throughout the season, I thought he was underrated by fans who like maybe weren't paying attention, like not Viking fans, obviously, but like here in Philly, it was always like, well, it's just Sam Darnold. Like they don't scare me. And at the end of the season, it kind of went out sad. But I don't know if he got injured or was banged up. I know his O-line wasn't playing that well in that final game. So I think like properly rated. I don't know.
I'll give you rated.
Just like rated.
I feel like you're cheating the game, but I'll give it to you.
She did try to slide it in there, though.
I'll
allow it.
At this point in time, he's overrated.
Yes.
At this point, he's overrated.
I thought for the entire season, he was overrated. I still think it's the same guy with the Jets. He just had a better supporting cast. That offensive line used to be great when they had everybody there. You know, Christian Darrisaw, one of the best tackles in the league. And then, they starting right tackle got hurt and out the game. But, I mean, look at him. I just think he's so overrated. He just got one of the best receivers in the league in Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. And then Addison fell right in where he's supposed to be. He's a number 1 pick also. So I think, with the addition of that guy, he can go out there and perform. He could definitely go out there and perform.
I actually think the opposite. I think he's underrated.
I
think he's underrated because of what y'all doing right now.
What's that?
Everyone has overlooked, said he's not good enough. And again, I understand what he did in this playoff game, but I think Sam Darnold's a really good starting quarterback.
I don't think he's a real good starting quarterback.
I think he's a really good starting quarterback. I think that's what this year proved, but he ain't a great quarterback. He ain't an elite quarterback. So if a great game plan is put up against him, he'll fold. But I think after this season, a lot of people are going to question his starting quarterback status. I think he's, at the very least, a very solid starting quarterback. I don't think he is what he was with the Jets, but I think he's a very solid starting quarterback that can win you some games or help your team win games. I don't think people should bump him back down to who he was as a Jet, is my point. I think he's still a pretty good starting quarterback in this league.
He's still overrated in the aspect of he didn't have the right combination of Kevin O'Connell and Wes Phillips putting a game plan together. I don't think that he could have been as good as he is right now. I think he's a product of the system those guys put him in.
Isn't every quarterback that's not elite that at some point? I think you just explained every quarterback that's not elite.
All I know is that there was no way Sam Darnold was leading the Vikings to a win in the wild card round. Like, he looked horrendous. Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, he has receivers like Justin Jefferson, like Jordan Addison. He has tight end TJ Hawkinson. Like, he has guys to get the ball to. He's Aaron Jones, he's running back. Like, and you can't even really score against a Rams defense that isn't that good. It's not good.
I have a quarterback.
See, I wasn't going to argue that because, I mean, you made the point.
I have a quarterback rant loaded. But I just want to see where everybody is at on these quarterbacks before I go on my rant. Next quarterback is C.J. Stroud. Everyone said I said he was going to be the second best quarterback in the league coming into the season. He obviously wasn't that. This whole season he wasn't that. But then all of a sudden in this game he showed it. Mm-hmm. C.J. Stroud, where is he currently rated? Is he overrated or underrated?
I think he's underrated. He definitely went through a sophomore slump, but he also lost 2 of his top receivers in Diggs and then Tank Dell. And I think that hurts. Like, right now he has Nico Collins, and that's pretty much it. I know Joe Mixon helps, but you can't really, like, fault C.J. Stroud. And he still won. Like, he's still leading his team to the divisional round. So I think he's underrated. I think he's a good quarterback.
Okay.
I think that he's underrated also.
Okay.
And the reason I said it is just, all the rash of injuries they had, number one. But number 2, defensive coordinators get paid millions of dollars to stop quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And he was a rookie last year. They didn't know how to defend him. So now that they've had a whole offseason to break down film and research what it is they can stop him, I think he got caught up in a little bit of that. You know what I'm saying? They caught up to his skill set. But then he was still able to win after that. You know, a lot of quarterbacks can't do that. But he was still able to win after that. So I think he's definitely underrated.
I think he's underrated also.
Yeah.
I think people forget that sophomore slumps for quarterbacks happen. Not everyone's Patrick Mahomes where everything's going to just be great and you're just going to be great from the beginning. Like most quarterbacks go through these rough moments at the beginning of their career, and his wasn't even that rough. He still made the playoffs. So that's why I'm like, all right, slow down, guys. I know the season didn't look how it was supposed to look, but he's still a pretty damn good quarterback. All right, when we come back, we'll do a couple more for these. I'm going to ask you guys about y'all boy, Jalen Hurts. Of course, we're for overrated, underrated, and then we're going to get into these games this week. All right, Texans, Chiefs, Commanders, Lions, 8.5, 9.5. Those are the spreads. Do these teams have a chance for a flat-out upset, though? We'll talk about it coming up on the Sunday Spread presented by BetMGM on the BetQL Network. Welcome back to the divisional round of the Sunday Spread presented by BetMGM on the BetQL Network. Super Bowl champ, Barrett Brooks. Super Bowl champ for the Steelers, though.
Hey, man, hey.
That's another game we didn't really touch on that I was wrong about. I thought the Steelers were at least going to,
be competitive?
Be in it. There was a moment,
you
maybe
thought they would cover the
minute
spread
in the third quarter, I think.
The beginning of the third quarter, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like maybe they could come back or make it a close game.
And then King Henry said, not too fast.
Nah.
Not too fast.
Yeah, the easiest money to be made was 100 yards on D. Henry.
Yeah.
Oh, let me say this, by the way. Devin Caney, Sean Bell.
Barrett Brooks.
Oh, I said Barrett Brooks. I said Super Bowl champ Barrett Brooks. I didn't get to
You do too,
get to us. What are you doing, Saquon? 100 yards at any time touchdown. I guaranteed it.
There were a lot of people who were mad about that. My boyfriend included, who put money on an anytime touchdown for Saquon, and
I did too.
And he went down.
What are we like? He tried to say.
Even his teammates were mad
because he tried to say after game, well, I didn't want the defense. He joked about it. I didn't want the defense to have to go back at. Let's be honest. You didn't realize the situation.
Yeah.
Right. He slid because he thought, if I score, they're going to have a chance. That was in his mindset. If you scored, it was over.
Yeah.
It was a done deal. So go ahead and score.
Yeah.
What are we doing, Saquon?
It was already over.
Again, I love you, Saquon. We are. I'm a Penn State brother of yours. But damn it, the curses that came out of my mouth.
The curses you put on the text.
What is you doing?
Look, as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh, that just ruined that just ruined everything.
Yeah, I think it ruined a lot of people's parlay.
It was easy money to pair him with Derrick Henry, say 100, tutty.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let's get back to it. Before we get to the games real quick, I want to do two more overrated, underrated, right? We talked about Sam Darnold. Y'all think he's overrated. I think he's underrated. We all think C.J. Stroud is underrated. Mm-hmm. Let's get to the couple more quarterbacks to talk about. Let's go to Justin Herbert. Y'all already said overrated.
Very much so overrated.
Overrated, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know, overrated just, I think Herbert, I don't even know what to call them. There are people who feel so strongly about Justin Herbert and who are quite loud on social media and in the media and on TV as pundits, that he is widely regarded, underrated. And I think he proved to everyone in the wild card round that he is in fact not whatsoever underrated.
No, not at all.
He's overrated.
I think he's underrated.
I think he had a bad game.
He's underrated.
He had a really bad game.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's going to play like that every single game, but
y'all are leading me into my rant, so I like it.
Elite quarterbacks don't have games like that. They don't have games where they turn the ball over that many times.
Okay. I'll get back to that. Jalen Hurts, overrated and underrated.
I think he is underrated.
Why?
Because everybody just thinks you got to go out and pass to be a great quarterback, to be an elite quarterback. Winning is what makes an elite quarterback. Understanding the temperature of the game and where you need to be and what you need to do and who are they looking for to be that guy. And that's what he is. He's that guy. he goes and gets a big scramble for a first down. If you really need him to throw the rock, he can handle that. He can throw the rock and be very consistent in that. He does whatever it takes to win games. So to me, that makes him very much so underrated. When you ask, what is a quarterback's purpose? Quarterback's purpose is to be a winner and get his team on to the next round.
Okay. What do you think?
It's tough because I think he's underrated when it comes to like the top 10 quarterback conversations when national people are like ranking quarterbacks. He's usually, I think, a little lower down than he should be. I'll say underrated then.
Yeah.
Like overall, he's definitely not overrated by anyone.
Yeah.
Like I don't think anyone overrates Jalen Hurts.
I think,
even here in
and I don't like him.
even here in Philadelphia, like people are not overrating Jalen Hurts, but
No.
I think he's underrated in that the guy's a winner. Like he and Sirianni get a ton of crap, and if you look at their records, like they win. And Jalen Hurts, since the beginning of the season, also does not turn the ball over, and that is a massive, massive part. Like we complain about his passer rating, he still had an over 100 passer rating
111
against the Packers.
Yep.
So like
111.
he still connects when he needs to, and he's not going to air it out every single play. And because of that, I just don't think he's ever going to be properly rated.
And I don't like him. I don't like him.
Like as a person,
I don't like him as a quarterback.
he's an interesting guy.
Right.
He's like a very mysterious.
Yeah. I don't know how to take him.
Yeah.
I think he's rated. I'm going to steal yours, Devin. I think he's rated.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2022 was never him. Like, that was him because he did it, but I never felt like he was elite quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. I think now we're falling down. I think people are going
he was
overrated.
like the numbers. Like he was elite in 2022. He has the
No,
best
he had a elite
quarterback performance. In
Yes.
his
Then he had like 8 games with 300 yards or more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Flacco was elite for like that playoff run. That
Yeah, like
season.
Nick Foles was
Nick
elite
Foles was elite.
when
So
they
Was
went
that
over.
2000,
Yeah.
2001?
That's my point.
Trent
Like,
Dilfer.
he's a good like. I tell people all the time, if you want to win a Super Bowl, you don't necessarily have to have elite quarterback. You need a good quarterback that can have elite moments.
Yep.
That's why I feel like Jalen Hurts is. He's a good quarterback that
Who
can have elite moments.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
And that's
But I don't think he's actively hurting the team.
no.
Right now.
Right.
No.
Right.
I say and Jordan Love, I guess everybody thinks is overrated.
Overrated. But I've been saying that even since before last week. you
Yeah,
guys
I think
complained.
the Dallas
Okay.
game just put us over the top that
Yeah.
he's just this guy, you need to put on a pedestal, and he's not that guy. And they paid him too, didn't they? Didn't he pay him?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
too.
Did they? They did.
Yeah, I mean, you had to pay him.
Yeah,
You had to pay him.
they had to.
This leads into my problem.
Hmm.
Like, because of media, social media, and all those things, how we rate guys, like, we forget there used to be a struggle for quarterbacks.
Right.
Right? Like, we forget that not everyone, like, I feel like we look at the abnormal and think it should be the normal. Right? Patrick Mahomes and what he does in his career is the abnormal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Michael Jordan is the abnormal. Like, some of these guys are the abnormal. So now all the greats have to be on that line.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, even with Jalen Hurts, they do the same thing to him. Like, you got to be on this line if you want to be great of Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. And I go, no, most of the great quarterbacks went through these struggles in the playoffs. Right? Like, I don't look at Justin Herbert and some of these guys and go, you ain't elite. Well, maybe they're not currently elite. But I don't look at them and say, you're not on your way to being elite.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody goes through this. If you actually look at the playoff runs, like Peyton Manning didn't win a playoff game. Like, I compare him to Lamar Jackson in his first, 3 seasons.
Right.
His first 3 playoff
Right.
appearances. And we do these with these quarterbacks, though. Look at Justin Herbert and Emmanuel Acho hopping on because he loves to get on Justin Herbert. I'm like, so quarterbacks don't go through this? Like, Drew
Manuel
Brees
Acho's been good. I feel like he's not having a good run right now.
Rodgers.
at all. At
Right,
all.
right.
It pisses me the hell
Against
off.
the Heat.
But anyway, like, Drew Brees was 9-9. That was his playoff record.
Right.
He's going to go down as all 10 quarterbacks. So if you take away his Super Bowl run, he's a below 500 playoff quarterback. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. He's 12.
Aaron Rodgers, I just
he's
said it,
12
bro.
and 10 in the playoffs.
Yep.
Take away his Super Bowl run, he's a below 500 quarterback in the playoffs. And if you just look at the second half of his career, he's a terrible playoff performer. Like, I just think we kill these quarterbacks too much, and when they lose in these playoff games and even look bad.
Yeah.
And it's all of a sudden saying you're not this or you're not going to be this. I think
Like
Justin,
Matty Ice.
Justin Herbert.
Matty
Jordan
Ice.
Love, yes.
Matty Ice, same thing.
Jordan Love, all these guys, I still think have the potential to go to the elite class, and I still think are really good quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Jalen Hurts loses to the Rams, I'm not all of a sudden be like,
well, you saying this? You saying this?
You can never be. What are we talking about here?
So you're saying the elite quarterbacks? You got the Peyton Mannings, guys like that. But do you make another branch in this tree like the guys that are universal, like the Patrick Mahomes, and then you got the.
It's like the Hall, like how they say the Hall of Fame
Lamar Jackson
still has levels.
Yeah.
Right? Like you in the Hall, but you ain't Joe Montana.
Right.
Like they have levels. So I say the same thing with greatness with these elite quarterbacks. Like, nah, you're not Patty.
Right.
You're not Lamar. You're not Josh. But that don't mean Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, and these guys can't get to the elite category. And not all of them will get to the elite category because the elite is there for a reason. There are only 4 or 5 of those guys. But still, I just think we're killing these guys for having bad performances as if Peyton Manning
was always that.
Well, you know what I mean? Drew Brees didn't have playoff. Brett Favre didn't have playoff games.
Like Drew Brees wasn't riding the bench while he was with the Chargers.
Yeah, like you threw for 4 interceptions in one of your early playoff games. Like, that just happens because playoffs are tough. With that said, let's get to the actual playoff games. Coming up this week, we'll start Texans-Chiefs. After what the Texans did last week, Barrett,
makes you think.
Do they have a chance?
And when I look at this game, I look at it from a defensive standpoint because the Chiefs' defense. I'm not even gonna talk about the Chiefs' offense, but the Chiefs' defense are one of the better, elite type of defenses in the league. So, what they can do to stop Stroud is more so what I'm looking at because I don't think they'll be able to. I don't think that the Texans' defense will be able to put the same pressure that they had on Herbert on Patty Mahomes. I mean, it's going to be a different level. You know what I'm saying? It's a different level of play right there. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying no. I think the Chiefs and old man Big Red going to make it happen again.
Yeah, Def.
Hard
to argue. I know we want the Chiefs to lose, but
look, that would be amazing. But Patrick Mahomes' record in this round is 6-0. He's literally never lost in the divisional round.
Wow.
So, which is crazy. Like we talk about quarterbacks and their records in the postseason, and like Mahomes, I know we're all sick of them. And is there a chance that the Texans could come in and upset the Chiefs? Yeah, but I don't think that they will. Maybe they'll cover. I mean, the last time, like they played recently, they played at the end of December. Chiefs won 27-19. So like not a massive win. But still, a solid win.
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs are 7-9-1 against the spread. The Chiefs like to not cover.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And they've been that way over this sort of three-peat that they're going for, not covering the spread. So I think the Texans cover, but it's a backdoor cover.
Yeah,
right. Like the Chiefs control it solidly, and then when does Andy Reid a week off? I don't have the stats in front of me, but I had the stats at some point earlier in the season. It's dead for any team that's trying to face that. So I'm with you. So Chiefs win, confident win. I do think the Texans cover. Let's go.
And they don't have all their weapons also.
Who? Oh, Texans.
The Texans, yeah. They don't have all their weapons also.
Let's go to Commanders-Lions. Again, the Commanders surprised the Buccaneers. It shouldn't really have been a surprise, but it surprised the people in this room. They're going against Detroit with the week off. That's 9.5, the biggest spread of the weekend. Dev, start with you. I mean, any fear?
Any fear?
Yes. Should Detroit have any fear?
Yeah, I'm like, well, I mean, look, if the Commanders went in, there's a lot of people, it seems, who think that the Commanders have a chance here to go in and upset the Lions because Daniel Jones. Wow. Sorry. That was offensive.
I hope not.
Sorry. Jaden Daniels seems to be able to pull out miracles week after week, and like all credit to him. He's had a phenomenal rookie season as a starting quarterback, and I'm not saying that can't happen. Like, it honestly wouldn't really shock me if it did, but I just think that the Commanders' defense once again is going to be their weak spot here, and against that Lions offense that's so potent. And now they have David Montgomery likely back. as well as Jahmyr Gibbs, as well as Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, Jared Goff, list goes on. It's just going to be too much for Washington's defense. So I like the Lions, and I like the Lions covering the spread. I think they're gonna crush Washington, crush them. As much as look, I would love if the Commanders won, and then if the Eagles win, the Commanders have to come here. I just don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Barrett, you?
I mean, health is wealth. And there's so many guys that are back right now on that Lions roster, even on the defensive side of the ball. Branch is back and playing. He'll be playing at all-star level, second year. I mean, he's one of the better safety / slot corners in the league. Him being healthy is huge. I mean, huge. And Zadarius Smith, they acquired him. He's finally starting to light it up a little bit now on the defensive side of the ball. DJ Reader had a phenomenal game the last 2 games that I saw him play in. So, we already know what they're going to do on the offensive side. I'm not even going to talk about, what they got on the offensive side of the ball. But the defense, like I said, from the defense, man, they are getting healthy at the right time, and guys are coming back at the right time. And then they were saying they might be able to bring their leading, pass rusher back. He might be able to come back for the Super Bowl, I think. So I think they're trying to play for that also.
The Lions, y'all not going to want to hear this. They remind me a little bit of the 2017 Eagles vibes. The team that never won a Super Bowl before. Bunch of injuries, but none of them ever mattered. Jason Peters, who cares? Right? Like your Hall of Fame tackle, who cares? We are rolling along and we're getting it done. Explosive on offense, getting it done on defense. That Detroit Lions fan base hungry for their first Super Bowl. Have never won one before. They get a bye. Aiden Hutchinson, you would think
he might be back.
Yeah, but even then, you would think it would have mattered. It hasn't mattered all season long with the way they played and what they've been able to do. It's just magic around the Detroit Lions right now. So again, with the week off, with them getting healthy, I'm with y'all. I think the Detroit Lions cover the spread in this game.
You see, I was being a bigger man too. You know what I'm saying? Because you know how much I dislike that defense and the defensive signal caller. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but again, he got it done against the Minnesota Vikings 2 weeks ago, and they're doing just enough. Not even just enough. They're doing enough.
Their signal caller?
Aaron Glenn.
Oh, you don't like him?
No. It stems way back when we was playing.
Yeah, I mean, this is
playing days.
I do have some props and stuff from this game, but I know we're up against it, so we can do it.
We'll go back to all the props later on because I know we didn't have time for it, so we'll make sure we'll get to props for each game. So coming up, well, we got to spend a segment on Rams Eagles because that's how long we talk when we talk about the Eagles over here. All right, so Sunday spread coming up. We'll continue to talk about the other 2 playoff games and the best playoff game of the week, quite frankly, the Ravens Bills. That's whatever quarterback loses that game is going to get destroyed. Going to get destroyed by the media. So I can't wait to discuss that. All right, this is the Sunday spread. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Sunday spread presented by BetMGM on the BetQL network. Rams Eagles. Let's get to it. Eagles, this is 6-point spread. The Rams, again, look a lot better than they did all season long just in that wild card game. The Eagles did play the Rams earlier this season, smashed them 37-20.
Week 12.
But again, week 12. But again, the Rams, a lot better than they were in week 12, playing a lot better, but you never know what you're going to get when you face the NFC West team. That's what it's been all season long. Devin, what do you think you're going to get in this game?
From the Rams or from
whatever?
I mean, I think the Eagles win this game, but there are just a lot of outside factors that I think worry me, but I guess they would affect both teams, one of which is weather. It is likely to snow on Sunday and during this game, which, I know it's easy to say, that benefits the Eagles. And, yeah, it certainly would because the Rams are used to playing indoors and playing in warm weather in L.A., but the Eagles don't play in snow all the time either. So I think cold, yes, definitely benefits the home team. But the snow, I think, will not benefit anyone because it'll just make it kind of a sloppy game all around.
And that's what the Eagles want, though.
Yeah, but, you also just don't – it just throws in a factor of messiness and injury risk and all that. So that worries me.
When you're the better team, you're like, we don't need other factors. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the officiating. One of the officials, I forget his name, the Eagles have never won when he officiates games, or they won one time. He was the official who threw out C.J. Gardner-Johnson when they played in Washington, and he's going to be calling this one. So that worries me. But otherwise, I mean, the Eagles beat the brakes off the Rams back in Week 12. Saquon Barkley, I don't think he's going to rush for another 255 yards.
Oof.
If he did, that would be wonderful. But I do think that typically when there's a game where passing and receiving is down, especially when it comes to Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, they typically follow that with a really big passing game. So as long as it's not too snowy, I do think that this is going to be a big A.J. Brown game. He had over 100 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown against the Rams last time they played. So I think he can do that again. I think Jalen Hurts was shaking off the rust last week, and he gets back on track. I know Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, everyone likes to talk about how good they are. I'm not saying that they're not good, but the Eagles' defense is the best in the league. I think that they can handle it for sure.
That's as an ex-offensive lineman, you love to play in the mud. You love to play in those conditions. Just like you said, AJ and them, they don't like it. They don't want all that, you know what I'm saying? They don't want all that static, because that ball's hard, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then when it's wet and cold too. But I just think that this game is well suited for the identity that the Eagles have. I mean, I really think that, they want to run the rock. They want to run the ball, and that's their identity, the physicality of that. I think that the Rams are more so not necessarily a physical team. I think that they're a finesse team as opposed to being physical. Finesse being, get the ball out to Puka Nacua, get the ball out to Cooper Kupp, have, Little Williams run through the, line of scrimmage a little bit, try to get some runs, set up the play action. I just think we're just well suited for that. I mean, even they got a small defensive line. They have a quick defensive line. Their defense is predicated on them, shooting gaps and movement type of plays. But what you got with this Eagles team is, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We're going to come off the rock, hit you, double team you for 3 quarters, and all of a sudden the fourth quarter just breaks out. And a lot of people say, he ain't going to get 255. Well, he won't get 255, people. But you take that 70-yard run out and that 72-yard run out, they still had he still had 111 yards, 110 yards. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like, they weren't running the rock. He still had 100 yards. He still had a buck on him. But, this is the physical game, the physicality of the way this game is going to come out. I think is well suited for the Eagles, way of thinking, what they want to do.
I also think I brought up outside factors. You have to take into consideration the Rams were clearly running on a lot of emotions in their game against the Vikings.
Absolutely.
Where, they had moved it to Arizona. There was all of that, ceremonial stuff for Los Angeles and the
win for the
wildfires. I think that they had that, and as they should. But I don't think that they'll have that going into this game in the cold in Philadelphia. They're flying across country. That's a pretty long flight. I think it's 5 hours if they're flying from Arizona.
5.5.
More if they're flying from California. I don't know if they stayed in Arizona or not.
Yeah, they had to go back. They had to go back, pack up, and then leave. Yeah.
Those fires have impacted so many people in LA, and it's been so awful that and I don't want to say this is a good thing, but it's just a fact that there's no way someone isn't affected or knows someone who's affected, who's close to them. And that plays a factor in going into this game, especially, coming off big one and shorter rest than what the Eagles had. Eagles
they got
on Sunday.
extra
they
day.
played Monday night.
Yep.
So those are all factors that work against the Rams here.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And obviously prayers for everyone going through whatever
absolutely.
They're going through
yes.
out in LA and out in the West Coast area.
Amen to that.
I think the Rams, I don't think any of that has much to do. I just think their ceiling is high. They have a low floor and a high ceiling.
Yeah.
On how they can play. Now, their ceiling isn't as high as the Eagles' ceiling, obviously, with their talent. But they have a high ceiling of you just look at their talent, you go, man, you got Pro Bowlers everywhere, right? It's on offense. Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. Then you on your slide, you got Tutu Atwell, an explosive player, Demarcus Robinson. They have Kyron Williams, Pro Bowl. They got that talent. They haven't played up to their talent all year long. So I just think if they play at their height, they can beat the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think they should be able to beat the Eagles. But if they play at their height and then the Eagles play a C-plus game where all of a sudden they have turnovers, then the Rams can beat that team. I think the thing, and I don't think it'll come into play against the Eagles. I think the Eagles win this game. The thing that bothers me about the Eagles is how basic their offense is. Like, we thought coming in with Kellen Moore, you're going to have some shiny things, and they tried that earlier in the season. But your offense, like, everyone knows what you're doing. The reason they've won is because we're just better than you, right? Like, Saquon is top 3.
Everyone
Your
knows.
offensive line is top 2. Your A.J. Brown is top 5. Devontae Smith is top 10 or 12. Like, Dallas Goedert is, I don't know what he is in the tight end ranking anymore. I'm not sure how to pinpoint Dallas Goedert, but, like, your offense is just, so you don't do anything we know what you're doing. Like, even me, layman terms, I'm looking at the game, they're about to do this. All right, Jalen has this going to be this slant route. I know what you're doing, and everyone knows what you're doing, but you're better than everybody else. So I wonder how that comes into play when you find a defense that is good enough, or a defense, I don't know if any defense is good enough to shut y'all down, but a defense and a coordinator that is a little bit better and can game plan and make you veer a little bit. So if one mistake happens, like you say, no, you can't, but if one mistake happens and you have to veer, then how do you switch things up? But that's the only thing that bothers me. It's just like, well, I wish you would make me feel a little bit more confident if you had a play call in Kellen Moore that was scheming things open.
I agree. And
that made things easier as opposed to
he's doing like 3 interviews. First of all, I think the NFL needs to make a rule where no one can do interviews or even reach out to coaches until the Super Bowl, even if you're knocked out. Like, it's just crazy. So I think Kellen Moore is like 3 different head coaching interviews this week. I would like him to stay. I don't think he will, obviously, but just because Jalen Hurts has had a different play caller literally every year of his professional career, and I think continuity is important. But I totally agree. Like, I think Kellen Moore is fine, but it's very vanilla. It's very basic. It's very basic.
And let me say this. It's weird. I don't know if y'all knew this. I was talking about college. Like, the fact that people can transfer, like the Ohio State, like backup quarterback can transfer, like, but they can transfer during the playoffs.
That's not cool.
What are we doing here? Like, in the NCAA,
they got a lot of things figured out.
I was talking about the Drexel heads coach. He said, no, the transfer portal starts like in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So players can transfer out. Like, if you were a 8th man rotational player on a Sweet 16, you'd be like, I'm out of here, and that can affect your like. So it's like that in all the sports. Like, there has to be some line about
agency, man,
when you could go. Kenny, let's bring you in because Devin had all the smoke for you. She had preemptive smoke for you because she knows what you about to say. Kenny, just go.
Just go.
We had a conversation off air, and she had mentioned she thinks Nick Sirianni is the better coach in this football game with the Eagles and the Rams. I mean, I disagree. I mean, he does have a 700 win percentage. Great. He took over the team, and Howie Roseman's built one of the best rosters in football. So he's basically inherited that. And he's had a great season. He's had his best season as a head coach. There's no doubt. I remember back when they were 2-2, I said, guys, I'm worried. I'm worried that he's lost the locker room like they were claiming last year, and that a very talented football team was going to be held back by their head coach. But he's done a great job. He's kept everything, how it's supposed to be, and the team's performed very well. The defense is best in football. The offense has still been operating at a great level. But with that being said, Sean McVay is a Super Bowl champion. He's been to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff as well. So he's been to 2 Super Bowls. I know Sirianni had made it a few years ago. But when you look at who gets credit for these teams, you look at the Eagles, Fangio's getting a bunch of credit. Saquon Barkley with the 2,000 yards. A.J. Brown, when he plays, their record is awesome. When he doesn't, their record is a lot worse. When you look at the Rams,
when they have everybody, by the way,
this season, I believe, the only 3 losses on the season. It's a great football team, and I wouldn't say this is not saying Nick Sirianni's bad, but when you're talking about the Sean McVays of the world, a guy who came in and he implemented one of the best offensive schemes in football that teams have been copying for years on, and that he gets all the credit when players are out. Everyone's talking about, look what Sean McVay did to game plan. Even last week or a few weeks ago when they played Seattle in the Week 18 game that they sat their starters in, they played very competitive. I know that the Eagles sat starters and were able to beat a Giants team. So I guess we're just going back and forth. These are 2 good coaches, but I think McVay is the better one. And when you're talking about the quarterbacks, I think Stafford's the better quarterback than Hurts. And that's why I lean the Rams in this game. I hate that I have to go against the Eagles in this game, but by principle,
no, you don't. But it's okay.
and the better head coach.
Why do you think Matthew Stafford's a better quarterback?
Well, he's a Super Bowl champion as well. He's much better throwing the football than Jalen Hurts. Yes, Jalen Hurts is a dual threat, but Jalen Hurts and his inconsistencies throwing the football. Stafford looks really good right now. He looks young. He looked great in that Minnesota game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Hurts outplays him on Sunday, but up to this very point, going into this game, I think Stafford's the better quarterback, and I think McVay will have a better game plan than Sirianni and the coordinators for the Eagles do heading into this game, and we'll just see how the players have to perform. And I will say this, the Eagles defense and how great it is, I think when they're on the field against that Rams offense, the two best players on the field are Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua. I think the Eagles have a bunch of good defensive players, but the two best on the field, when the Rams are on offense, the Eagles on defense, the two best players are the quarterback for the Rams and the wide receiver one for the Rams. And that's why I think they're going to pull off the upset in Philly.
Wait, what, Devin? What's your response?
No, I went there.
Okay.
The two better players are going to say Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua. All right, Puka Nacua had 111 yards. Yeah, the last game they played, it was 177 between the both of them with Kupp and Nacua. I just don't think that when you sit down and you think about how these teams are built and, how these coaches get these guys to play. You talk about a guy that's calling the offense, all this stuff. It really doesn't make a difference when you're out in between the lines. So I'm taking the coach factors out. Let's take the coach factor because they're not in between those lines. You get the guys that are on the field, and that's where, that's where the rubber hits the road. The guys on the field. I don't think they have anybody right now that could block Nolan Smith. At this point, he's rushing and playing phenomenal. Had 2 sacks this last game. The right tackle for the Rams, he got beat up this last game. He's going to really get tore up this game. So then there's nobody that can block Carter. So when you say the best player on the field, I think Carter's better than any player they have on offense. One-on-one, he can't be blocked. They're going to have to send a double team to him. And then, as you go back, I think we may have the defensive player of the year at the linebacker position, Zach Bond. I think he's, right up there better than both of those guys. We're talking about a guy that's all pro.
Jalen Carter.
That's we got to take a wrap. So we're going to let y'all finish this conversation when we get back because I know y'all itching to finish this conversation.
I don't see them two as being the better player.
While Devin plays A.J. Brown reading a book during the show because she got some stats that she's going to throw at you, Kenny. So we're going to finish this conversation and get to the best game of the week. The best game of the week is Bills-Ravens. All right, 2 superstar quarterbacks, 2 elite quarterbacks, both need a Super Bowl for their legacy, and that game, to me, is going to be the best game maybe of the entire playoffs, all right? The Sunday Spread. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Sunday Spread on the BetQL Network. We're going to get to the Bills-Ravens, but we got to wrap up this Eagles-Rams talk. Kenny has spiced up the show because he has the Rams actually winning this game. That would be the biggest upset of the weekend. Mm-hmm. Dev, I'm going to go to you. Again, you had a preemptive strike beginning of the show for what Kenny had to say.
Yeah.
Tell me how foolish he sounds.
So you go ahead and fire off.
Yeah, so Kenny likes the Rams in this matchup, which is just foolish. Eagles stomped them back in Week 12. I know the Rams have been playing better recently. Let's take a look at their recent opponents. Vikings, who are dead upon arrival. Sam Darnold was banged up and just played horribly. Lost to the Seattle Seahawks, who didn't even make the postseason. Beat the Cardinals 13-9. Beat the Jets 19-9. And beat the 49ers, who were playing with guys like off the street 12-6. Very, very underwhelming. All right, now let's get to the head coaching matchups. So some numbers here. Nick Sirianni, just the 6th coach in NFL history to advance to the playoffs in each of his first 4 career seasons, along with John Harbaugh, Bill Cowher, John Robinson, Paul Brown. According to Elias Sports, Sirianni has produced the 3rd best winning percentage by a head coach during the Super Bowl era, trailing only John Madden and George Allen. Vince Lombardi is also on that list. Sirianni is just the 7th head coach in the NFL to win 14 or more games multiple times, joining Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, and George Seifert. All right, now let's go to the quarterback. You think Matthew Stafford's a better quarterback?
Woof.
All right, let's check this out. Jalen Hurts has led the Eagles to a 13-2 record in games he has started and finished this season, including the playoffs since 2022. Hurts is 14-12. That is a .769 winning percentage for Jalen Hurts. Marks the second best winning percentage in the NFL, trailing only Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, the GOAT. Yeah, that's pretty good if you ask me. Hurts's .697 career regular season winning percentage ranks 7th in the NFL since 1970. Behind who? Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. All right. So numbers don't lie. If you want to think that McVay is this great coach like people love to think and Sirianni's a bad coach just because he doesn't call offensive plays, that's fine. I think you're wrong.
Kenny? Rebuttal?
Devin, they have the best roster in football, and everything you brought up is just win
Sean
percentage.
literally just said that the Rams have Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, that they have a Pro Bowl roster as well, and they do.
Higbee's a really good tight end.
Yes,
They have a solid team, but the Eagles have had the best offensive line in football for a number of years. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback. They have the best running back in football. They have 2 stud Pro Bowlers at receiver. They have the best defense in football. So all this winning stuff is them. They should get the credit for that. Everybody else, not Sirianni.
Everyone gets credit.
Yes, he doesn't call plays.
Everyone gets credit.
Guy, a lot like Dan
So what?
Campbell,
So you're saying that all of the Rams' success should just be credited to Sean McVay and the quarterback?
Most of it, yes. Him and Stafford, Nacua, Kupp, those are like the 4. When I look at the Eagles, I look for before Sirianni, even before we get to Sirianni, I look at Vic Fangio, I look at A.J. Brown, I look at Saquon Barkley, I look at the defense as a whole, even before we get to Sirianni and Hurts. So the fact that they're 4th and 5th in the pecking order as the quarterback and the head coach, when most of the good teams, you look at the Chiefs, Mahomes and Reed, they get the credit. McVay and Stafford, they get the credit because they're the best parts of those teams. This doesn't mean Hurts and Sirianni are bad. It just means that the win percentage, all those stats that you're bringing up, I don't think that they should get all the credit for that, or that shouldn't be the stat that we should be looking at. We should be looking at how they contribute to the Eagles' success. I think you can look at a lot more parts of the Eagles before you look at those 2 guys, and that's fine. They can go win a Super Bowl that way. The quarterback and the head coach do not need to be the 2 best parts of your team. It helps. And then
but you're saying that the Rams will win because of just the coach and the quarterback, because those are the only 2 areas where they have an edge.
No. Okay, so I think Jalen Hurts is at a point coming off
experience. Sirianni's been to the postseason every year that he's been a head coach.
4 years in a row.
I know. I understand. So it's not like he doesn't have experience, but we're talking about a Super Bowl champion in Sean McVay. He's been coaching longer in this league. He has more experience in these kind of games. He'll have more control over the game. So we're talking about Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio here. Sirianni is a lot like Dan Campbell I was going to bring up, and I'm a big Dan Campbell guy. But the reason because of that is because when I see this, you're closer to the team than I am, so I could be totally off base with this. But I feel like as far as a rah-rah guy like him, I feel like some of the other guys who have had success in this league, like Dan Campbell, have more of a grip on their football team than a guy like Nick Sirianni does. And a lot of the reason I point to that is because last year when things started to go bad, he was getting all the blame. But when things are good, he gets like no credit, except for when you want to bring up like the win percentage stuff and how good he's been over the course of that. But like, why doesn't he get credit week in and week out for his game plans? Because he doesn't have one. Because it's the coordinator.
He does. He does here, probably not nationally, but Sirianni gets credit. As far as last season goes, I think we don't that's not really something that's brought up that much anymore because it's with the players and coaches have moved on. The thing about Sirianni is his players love him, and he doesn't call offensive plays, and people have issues with that. I think that he is an incredible head coach, and his players think that he's an incredible head coach, and that's all that matters. But look, I get it. Some people think that a head coach needs to call offensive plays, and that's fair.
Dan Campbell doesn't.
Not that at all.
He doesn't.
It's not that. Oh, yeah. See, exactly. It's not calling plays at all. It has nothing to do with that, and that's a big reason why Sean McVay gets credit. But it's more about the scheme that he implemented. He came in, he took over, and he was the CEO of that football team. Everything that's ran and that goes through the Los Angeles Rams goes through Sean McVay. And that might be true with Philadelphia. Nick Sirianni probably has a ton of respect, especially with the success he has had with this team. But you can thank Howie Roseman for the roster he has built. And you can thank the players. Barrett mentioned it. What happens in between those lines. You can thank the players, which is the best roster in the National Football League, in my opinion. We can go back and forth. We could talk about Kansas City with their quarterback that they have. But the Philadelphia Eagles, top to bottom, position by position, pound for pound, is the best roster in football. And if they fall short this year, that guy standing on the sideline, Nick Sirianni, will get blamed, and we might be grouped in with that. Because ultimately, if you have the best roster in football, you should go to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, who are we going to blame here? Are we going to blame the players, or are we going to blame the head coach for not getting his team ready? We'll have to see.
Let's move on. I will play middle ground. Nick Sirianni is a good coach, and he does have a grasp on his football team. Like, I think that's – on the outside, people may say that. He's a good coach. He has grasp on his football team, and he should get a ton of credit. I believe 7 out of the 8 coaches that were left didn't call
like
play.
it's not.
It was something. It was, I don't know what the number was, but like, there's a lot of coaches that don't call plays that are still in the playoffs right now. So you can do that. But I will say,
Ravens,
when you win a Super Bowl, you got to give a nod to that coach. You just got to get to the Super Bowl first.
Yep.
You got to win a Super Bowl first. Sean McVay's been to 2 Super Bowls, won 1, so I would give the nod to him. But I agree with Devin in the defense of Nick Sirianni's a good coach, and he gets a little too much blame from outside sources. Let's move on.
I think there's only one team. The Rams, the only team that call their own plays. They calls their own plays, right?
I think so. I think the number was 7 out of 8 last week.
Yeah.
So you don't have to call your own plays.
Like Big Red doesn't call plays anymore, right? Does he still call plays?
I think he is involved.
Yeah,
but
right.
he doesn't. I don't think he does.
I think he sets the game plan.
So like the Ravens don't
call the plays.
Ravens don't call the same. Eagles,
Bills don't.
Bills, Texans. Let me see, Lions. The Commanders.
Well, D'Amico calls the defensive plays, doesn't he? Or does he not call the defensive plays anymore?
Nope. And this is just this is a new fad that that people are doing right now. That 10 years ago everybody was a CEO coach. So.
All right, let's move on. So I agree. I actually agree with Devin and Kenny on a lot of their points. But let's move on to the Bills, Ravens.
Great game. It's gonna be a great game.
Barrett, I'm gonna start with you. But the first question I want you to answer is what quarterback needs this more for their legacy?
I think it's more so.
Good question.
I think it's because both of them don't have a good track record in the playoffs. And if you look at Jackson, he's won 2 MVPs. So I think that kind of gives him a little bit of leeway as far as, when you look at his legacy. I think it's more with, the Bills trying to get over this hump of getting past, Kansas City. And if in order to do that, they've got to get past this Ravens team. But we know Jackson has not been good in the playoffs because, the last 2 years, he hasn't even done anything in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? He lost the eventual champions last year in the Ravens, in the Chiefs. So you got to go with the Bills quarterback. He's got to. I think he has more at stake at this point in his career for his legacy to be looked at as one of the best quarterbacks to play the game. He has the win this year in order for him to go forward.
Josh Allen does?
Yeah, for sure.
I actually think it's more important to Lamar's career and legacy just because, what do we know him as? Oh, the guy who's a great quarterback and MVP multiple times, but can't seem to, get it done for his team in the postseason. They always comes up short in the postseason. Never makes it to the big game. So I think it's actually probably bigger for Lamar. That's a good question.
I think it's split down.
It's a great question. Yeah.
Whoever loses is going to get destroyed in the media. I think it's going to be over. It's going to be overdone.
I think Lamar will get destroyed more than Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen has had such a good season that
if he loses,
I think if he loses for Josh Allen, it'll be more. Well, he didn't really have a ton of weapons. He didn't have help. His defense fell apart or whatever. However, the game plays out. Where Lamar, I think the storyline will be a classic. This happens year after year. Will Lamar ever make it to the big dance?
Your defense is okay. They brought in King Henry for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think the problem is Josh Allen's about to win the MVP, and everyone's already complaining about it. Right? Like, everybody's like, Lamar Jackson is beating you in every statistic, and they're not going to give it to him. They're going to give it to Josh Allen.
What are the odds
Josh
right now?
Allen loses. It's not up on a BetMGM right now, I don't believe.
So
but if he loses, they're going to be like, you are the biggest fraudulent MVP in history.
Yeah, but I also feel like we say that every year, no matter who wins. There's always going to be people who complain.
I mean, it's fair, but it'll be ramped up to another level with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
But again, I'm at the same time, I'm with you. Lamar, you have 2 MVPs. You have to win a Super Bowl. They're going to be like, you don't belong in the upper echelon. So, it's probably even if we're being fair, but if we had to pick one, it's hard to pick one. But
that's a great question. You're just going to ask me, though. Just
I asked both of you. I asked both of you. I mean, we all got to answer that, I think.
So I don't know if this is accurate or not, 'cause I'm not super familiar with, like, how many people vote on these regular season awards. But I do know, so the AP All-Pro selections came out, and apparently it's, like, the same group of people who vote. And I think Lamar won, or he got the most first team.
Yeah, he did.
Votes, which someone said that, like, a writer who casts his own vote tweeted that, like, that signals that Lamar actually could win MVP because he got the most All-Pro votes. And it's like the same pool of voters. I don't know.
Vegas has Josh
in
almost every sporting book to be the favorite right now. Josh Allen in BetMGM, I believe, is minus 250, while Lamar is plus 185.
And then Saquon's down at plus 5,000.
They were never going to let him running back win that.
So with that said, who wins this game, Barry Brooks? How does this game break down?
I just think that the way Henry is playing right now, and Lamar's he's just too much of a dynamic player. I think they beat him again.
You think the running game just takes over?
The running game takes over, and I mean, their defense can hold Josh Allen a little better than the Bills' defense trying to hold Lamar and King Henry. I just don't think they have enough for him.
Okay, what do you think, Dev?
So I actually like the Bills in this game. I think it's going to be really close. I'm excited for it. I think that the Ravens' weakness all season long has been their secondary and their passing defense, and that's going to come back to bite them here. And I think Josh Allen is going to be the dual threat that he is. I know Lamar is too. I'm not saying that he's not, but I just think that this is the Bills' year. Like, you can just feel that they have that momentum riding with them, and I think the Ravens do too. But the last time these guys played, Derrick Henry went off. He almost had 200 rush yards. The Bills' starting linebackers, both of them, were not playing that game. They will be playing this game. They have a lot of their guys on defense back and healthy here, and I think that's going to be greatly helpful to the Bills to win this one. I think it's going to be close, but I like the Bills.
I change my mind like every half hour.
Me too. Like, you could talk me into the Ravens right now. I'd be like, okay, yeah, you're right. I totally agree.
Right,
but
and they're favored right now.
It's more so my gut tells me Bills.
Like,
the Ravens are favored. The Ravens are favored, even though the Bills are at home.
Yeah.
Even though it's only by one.
But I also think that's gonna help the Bills. Like, that Buffalo's crazy.
It's gonna be 11 degrees.
Freezing cold, and not that it's not cold in Baltimore, but it's not 11 degrees in Baltimore.
It's gonna be 11 degrees. The day before it's rainy and snowy, and then it's gonna be 11 degrees apparently.
At
night.
I wish y'all could understand how it is to play out there.
I don't want to understand.
I played in
Green
Bay, bro.
And
it's like a different type of cold. Like, I can remember playing a Monday night game against Minnesota, and it was in December. And when we went out there, it was minus 7 degrees to start the game. No, I'm sorry. It was 7 degrees. It was 7 degrees when we started the game. 7 degrees. Monday night game, 7 degrees.
Can I ask you a question, though? What's with you guys not wearing sleeves out there?
It's supposed to be a man thing.
I'm on the sideline, and I see these guys going out there. They take off the heated jacket. It's just like arms out. Like, how?
It's a man thing, and it has nothing to do with anything. There's no decided advantage. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing.
Does it help you play better? It's just to be tough.
I probably had like an inch of Vaseline on my arms. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to keep some of my heat in.
Like, y'all are already tough. You ain't got to be proved. Like, I don't understand. Football players always want to prove you're tough. We know you're tough.
I know.
Bro.
And there was one quarterback who said, "I'm not throwing you the ball." Which quarterback? What was it? I was watching the game this year, and the quarterback said, "I'm not throwing you the ball if you have sleeves."
Really?
What?
Yes. I forgot what quarterback it was. Crazy. He was like, "I'm not throwing you the ball if you have sleeves. Take those sleeves off. I don't care if it's cold."
Wow.
I'm like, are you? Then I'm not playing. I'm an Antonio Brown that thing. I'm out
You know what I will say? I'm assuming every team has like the
heaters.
bench
Yeah,
those. Those heated benches are very nice.
Oh yeah. But I mean, just
They're
saying.
very nice.
Yeah,
When
can
you're
you
out on
imagine
the
that?
field, you don't have.
Can you
that.
imagine going out there 7 degrees? We went back in at halftime, came back out minus
It's worse
12.
when you go into the heat and then back out too.
Because number one, you've already sweated,
Yeah.
and then you're inside and you cool off. I mean, you get warm again. Eat you some, chicken broth or beef broth, whatever it is. And you come back out, it was minus 12. It was so cold that I went out there. When I took my helmet off, I was sweating a little bit. It instantly froze on my head.
Oh my God.
Sweat froze on my head.
Nah, dog. Can't do it. Won't do it.
And I had no sleeves on.
That's why I never played football. All right, when we come back, it's the bets. We gave you breakdowns of the games. We're going to have alternatives. We're going to have bets to each games. We're going to have TD parlays from Devin Caney. We're going to have it all in the next 2 segments, so keep it locked here on the Sunday Spread. Welcome back to the Sunday Spread Divisional Round Edition. Devin Caney, Sean Bell, Barrett Brooks. Well, Queen, we got to get to you. It's touchdown parlay time. All right, it's only 4 games. Makes it a little bit harder, I feel like. It makes it a little bit harder. You can't just pick from 12 games and go, hey, I get 4. Now you have to. Now you have to be precise. I'm telling you, I get real. If it doesn't happen in the first half, bullets sweating. I don't think it's gonna happen for me. I'm like, I need it to be the first touchdown to make me feel comfortable so I can breathe. So I'm gonna go to you, TD parlays. Who are you picking to touch pay dirt today, this weekend?
To touch what?
Pay dirt.
Pater?
Pay
dirt.
Oh.
or pater. Or pater.
I thought you were saying paint. Okay. I have 3 that I like this week. Jahmyr Gibbs. He's becoming old reliable. I mean, they were on a bye last week, but Commanders have a bad defense, particularly bad recently against the run. They allow the 2nd most rushing touchdowns, bottom 10 in the league in rush yards, rush attempts allowed. Jahmyr Gibbs seems like he gets in the end zone almost every single time he plays. And he'll be rested. So I definitely like him getting in there. Dalton Schultz for the Texans. Chiefs have not been good. They have a good defense, but they have not been good against tight ends all season long. They gave up the highest rate to the position in the league, and they have consistently throughout the regular season. They allowed the most receiving yards to the position, and Dalton Schultz scored the last time those 2 played. So I like him getting in the end zone. Again, plus CJ Stroud's options to get the ball to receiving-wise are limited this game. They had Tank Dell the last time they played the Chiefs as well. And then A.J. Brown, like I said, I mean, a lot of the times when we see A.J. Brown have a quiet game like he did last week against the Packers, they come out and they air it out and they make it a point to get him the ball, especially in the end zone. Rams also not great against wide receivers. They allow the 3rd most receiving touchdowns to the position, 5th most passing touchdowns to quarterbacks in the league. So I like A.J. Brown getting in there for the Eagles.
Okay.
As long as it's not snowing too much. That if it's snowing, then maybe pivots like Saquon Barkley. Or
yeah. Okay, I like it. And by the way, I don't mind AJ reading on the sideline.
I don't mind it either.
Whatever you gotta do to calm yourself down, that's therapy talk.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in therapy was like, "Listen, if you feel yourself about to whatever, here's a checklist of things you can do so you don't yell at somebody on the sideline, so you don't go off. It's like, all right, this package, and it looks bad. This passage calms me down. Mm-hmm. Let me read that.
You want to chant?
And whatever it is,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, daggone, leave him alone. I mean, I Randall Cunningham used to sit down and read his Bible on the sideline. I don't care what you do, just as long as you get there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just get there.
You know what's funny? We talked to him in the locker room yesterday, and he was really defensive about it. And, like, he wasn't asked about it in a negative way. I feel like at least around here, it's positive. Like, it became a #1 bestseller on Amazon. Like, everyone got it for themselves, and he was very much like, I still go out there and do my job, and it doesn't matter what I do. My teammates don't mind. And we're like, no, like, we're not yelling at you, man. Like, read your book if you want.
Right.
It's fine.
Because he was pissed off. Yeah. He was pissed off he wasn't getting a rock. Like, he's trying to hide and act like he wasn't. But I'm glad he took the measures. Yeah, you were pissed off. None of us are blaming you.
Yeah.
For being pissed off in the moment. You wanted the rock.
I would be pissed too.
Look at Marshawn Lynch.
10 receiving yards.
Marshawn Lynch used to eat Skittles on the sideline. Whatever it takes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I seen it before. Whatever you got to do to calm you down. Like, I had a kicker on the sideline. He would literally take his shoe off, tie his shoe, put it on, look at it, look side to side, take it off. I counted one time. He did it like 26 times, 27 times throughout a game. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Jeff Reed. The Commanders kicker has OCD. And he does a lot of.
And he does say that. He takes it off, put it back. I saw him literally do it. I counted 26 times he did it.
Zane Gonzalez from Washington, their kicker.
He does.
I remember he was putting his helmet on, but he kept.
Yeah, and he was
swiping his hair like he had super long hair, and he had to do it literally 13 times before he put his helmet on.
And I cannot imagine, especially that position. Like kickers are almost like goalies in hockey, where they kind of are the position that has that.
Right.
And sometimes it's not necessarily skill. It's like you can convince yourself it's luck.
My hot take is the kickers have the hardest position in all the sports,
and
only because you get fired the quick. If you're a kicker, you can't have one bad season. Or your career could be over.
We didn't touch on that when it comes to Rams-Eagles. That's something to watch for. Yeah. Jake Elliott, the Eagles kicker, has been having a horrible season.
He's one for 7 from 50 yards or more.
Yeah, and that's a really big deal. If the game is close, can't leave points on the board.
And that kind of changes how the head coach works things out in his head and going forward and not going forward and everything like that. You know, it's a factor. It's definitely a factor.
With that said. You gave some TD parlays. Anybody that you're sure on?
I got a 5-leg parlay.
Ooh, okay, let's get it.
Of course, I got King Henry. Anytime touchdowns, anytime touchdown. King Henry. Mm-hmm. I'm going back. I'm just hard-headed. Saquon Barkley. Anytime touchdown. But I'm also going with Dallas Goedert. Anytime touchdown.
That. Okay. That'll win you some money.
I'm going to go Puka Nacua. Anytime touchdown. And then I'm back to the tush push. Jalen Hurts. Anytime touch. That's my 5-leg parlay.
Oh, you got 3 on the Eagles.
3.
See, I can never do that because it's just even if I think you're going to score a lot of points, I'm too nervous.
Yeah, it's always hard to do multiple.
I'm too nervous. I'm too
nervous.
Especially
in the playoffs, I'm is anyone going to score that much? I don't know.
We'll see.
It makes me nervous.
Everybody's talking about, you got to average 30 points when you play Detroit. Not when you got a defense that's good. See, the number, when you look at NFL defenses, the key number that all NFL defenses, they want to stay under is 17 points. Mm-hmm. That if you can keep a team under 17 points, you've won. Mm-hmm. From a defensive standpoint. That's why offenses say, hey, you got to score at least 17 or more.
Yeah.
So you're winning if you keep them under 17. And I think the Eagles' defense pretty good enough.
I got Jahmyr Gibbs is the only one I'm 100% sure on. Mm-hmm. He's just... They're much better than the Commanders. They had a week off. I know Henry Montgomery is back, but there's something about that Bills-Ravens game in the snow that makes me feel a little bit nervous. The Bills are pretty good defense. You're right. He's proven all year long, but Jahmyr Gibbs is the one I'm sure it's on. I'm also going Travis Kelce.
Well, I'm saying $150 on the Steelers defense.
I get it. But Travis Kelce, I feel like, well, this is your time.
I'm about to say it's your time. This is Kelce time.
This is Kelce. You know what I mean? This is your time. Kansas City Chiefs turns the lights on.
Right.
Kelce can let me go get 75 yards in the tutty. That's just what happened. So I feel good about Jahmyr Gibbs and Travis Kelce. The 2 Saturday games I'll do, and then I don't know. Again, I want to throw Saquon in there again. I didn't get one last week. I'll get one this week.
You got to.
I'm going to throw it in there, but I'm going to be nervous and pissed off, and y'all going to get a lot of curses in the text message if it doesn't happen. I'm going to tell you that right the freak now. With that said, Kenny, come on in. Let's do some alternatives.
Let's do it.
I also like Travis Kelce, for the record.
I just want to say, we'll get to Travis Kelce. I've got one for him. I just want to say for the record that touchdown prices in the divisional round for a lot of these games, I think you guys touched on Jahmyr Gibbs. He was minus 400 at one of the books that I saw. Of course, King Henry's going to be in the minus 200s. It's hard to find value on some of these guys, but let's try to find it in some of the yardage. So Jahmyr Gibbs, I just mentioned him, 100+ yards. This is something that he was doing regularly with David Montgomery out. Now you insert Montgomery. My thought process on this game is that the Lions will run the ball at least 25 to 30 times, and who's going to get those touches and how many. I think Montgomery gets 8 to 12 coming off the injury. That leaves probably 13 to 15 for our guy Gibbs. Gibbs averaging around 5 yards a pop on this season, so 100+ yards. We're getting at plus 140. Barrett, what are we thinking about Jahmyr Gibbs in this matchup against the Commanders?
Jahmyr Gibbs is just so explosive. I mean, it's hard for me to say he's not going to because, anytime touchdown with him, he's a dual threat. He can get it in the pass also. And I doubt if there's any linebacker that's one-on-one with him. They can go. I mean, even though, Bobby Wagner is one of the best linebackers in the league right now. All pro. I don't know if, I would put money on Wags trying to stop Jahmyr Gibbs. So, to me, that's good money. I mean, he's just so versatile. If it's pass game, dump it off to him on a wheel route, screen, or in between the tackles. If you get them to the outside, and offensive line, that's like number 1A as far as best offensive lines in the league.
So you think, do you think he can get solely 100 on the ground?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm with you. I'm in Kenny. I think he can get 100 on the ground. I think David Montgomery is back, but he's not going to play a lot of snaps, right? Coming off the injury that he had, you're not going to just throw him in there.
But he's so explosive, though. I mean, as soon as you hand him the ball, he can go for 30, 40 easy.
Yeah, but I don't think Montgomery is going to take too many of his carries. I think this will be a 30 runs type of game, and I think Montgomery gets like 8. But if this game is, they're going to all right, you get 3 here, 2 there, but I don't think they thrust him back into the role that he had before. I think they pull him back a little bit. What do you think, Dev?
I like it. 100's a little high, but I do think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get a lot of action. I do hope Montgomery, sees the field a bit out there, but I also think that the Lions are going to be up so much that they're probably going to run it regardless and won't be airing it out too much. And they don't really, he spreads the ball around really well. That's been their strength. They just have so many options to get the ball to on offense. So I like it, I think. I'm not confident about it. It's just a little high, but
even when
like
he's so explosive, though. I mean, anywhere on the field, you
but they
miss
just
one
have
tackle,
so
he's
many
gone.
other guys. If you look at the Lions' stats for the most part on offense, it's all pretty mid-range, receiving wise and rushing wise, because they don't have to, because they all kind of play a part. But if any player is going to go off, it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. Out of all the Lions' offensive weapons, he's the one who would be most likely to do that.
I would alt that. You're right.
All right, Kenny, what you got next?
All right, let's stay on the ground. Let's go to King Henry, 125 plus rushing yards, plus 200. Zay Flowers is expected to be out. King Henry went for 150 last time they played the Bills. It's expected to be 8 degrees. Could you guys imagine tackling Derrick Henry in that kind of weather? With some of these small Bills defenders that they have, you should see 20 to 25 carries. I mean, I imagine that Baltimore is going to be sub 20, 25 pass attempts. So you're going to see a lot of Lamar Jackson on the ground. You're going to see a lot of King Henry in this kind of weather with no Zay Flowers. With the Bills, probably their secondary outside of maybe their pass rushers and some of their guys who they shuffle in there. Is the strength of their defense. I think we see a ton of King Henry, so 125 plus rushing yards is plus 200, something he did, by the way, last week. What are we thinking, Sean?
Man, you better alt that all day. All day.
It's Derrick Henry, so it should be a yes, but is he going to keep being able to give you 125 plus? I can see if you said 100, 125 plus, and I get everything you're saying. It's going to be cold. Maybe you can't pass the rock, but the Bills are at home. They can't. Linebackers are back.
Molino's back. Yeah, he is back.
I'm a faded, man. Hey, it's 125 is just too rich for my blood, even though everything you're saying, Kenny, makes all the sense in the world. What about you, Dev?
Yeah, I'm going to fade it as well. Bills starting linebackers are back, and I think that they're going to be the defense as a whole is going to be locked in on Derrick Henry, with a focus on stopping him, because he almost rushed for 200 yards the last time they played. Yeah, I'm not going to – I would fade that.
Barry, you sound like you all –
Kenny, go get them a dog, please.
I will say this.
They're scared. They're scared.
If they allow Derrick Henry to rush for that much, over 100, 125, then the Ravens will win.
It's easy.
The Ravens are undefeated when he rushes for over 90 yards. And I'm sure the Bills are well aware of that. So they are going to stack the box, and they are going to really try to limit what Derrick Henry can do.
And that's the worst thing you can do is stack the box against Derrick Henry. Because if you do that, if you miss a play, if you miss a tackle around the line of scrimmage, and when you bring that extra defender, he's right around the line of scrimmage. If you miss him, that means you're cutting his angle off, number one. But number two, if you just have one gap open, he is through that gap. And another thing, there's going to be some guys making business decisions out there. Him running through the hole.
In a playoff game?
Yes, with little corners and safety. Oh, man.
Solve.
Little corners.
Kenny, with that said, let's get one more in. I know we got to go to break soon. Give me one more.
From the ground to the air, let's go to Travis Kelce, 75-plus yards, plus 220. He usually turns it on in the postseason. He went over this line in his last game. He played all the way back on Christmas Day against the Steelers. So what are we thinking about this one, Devin? Is Travis Kelce washed, or are we betting on him in this playoff run?
So I feel like my take all season has been that he's washed, but he actually has been the most targeted receiving options for Patrick Mahomes throughout the season. I also feel like, by the way, the Chiefs haven't played in like years.
Yeah.
It feels like it's been so long, which to a point, maybe I don't know if it would affect them like rust wise, but I like it. I think he has a big game. Again, he is the most targeted and against the Texans. Defense that is playing better, but not super great against receivers typically. But we know that Travis Kelce, even though he's a tight end, is one of Patrick Mahomes' favorite guys to get the ball to, especially in a playoff game. So I like it.
Yeah.
I also like him to get a touchdown.
Yeah, me too. So it's just it's playoffs. I don't want it to happen, but I feel like it's gonna happen. Barrett,
I'm a fade you, Kenny, on that. I'm fading you.
Okay.
I don't think he's gonna get 75 yards because number one, he's been off for the last. Well, this will be almost 3 weeks. It'll be just like Jalen Hurts.
It's been a really long time.
So they rested the starters in the last game.
Uh-huh.
They didn't play, and they got trounced. And then they turned back around. They're off a week, and then they're going back. They practice a week, and then they're going to play. I think the chemistry's not going to be there.
All right, we'll see. A little chemistry being off. All right. After this, we got one more segment. I'm going to give you a start one, bench one, cut one from the divisional round. It's going to be a good one because, again, it's all-star studded, and all guys who need to have this type of game for their team to win. So I'm going to go to that, and we're going to go through bets from basically each game. Just a couple bets that you want from each game that you think is going to hit, that you think may be a guarantee from that game. This is the Sunday Spread. Welcome back to the Sunday Spread, presented by BetMGM on the BetQL Network. Sean Bell, Barrett Brooks, Devin Kenny. Start one, bench one, cut one. It's divisional round, not a lot of options, but that makes it a lot tougher. And let's get to it. I'm going to get to guys that need to have this type of game for their teams to win. So with that said, let's start with the running back position. And all three of these guys may have this type of game, but I'm going to make you throw one of them out there. Mm-hmm. Jahmyr Gibbs, 100 yards rushing. Saquon Barkley, 100 yards rushing. Derrick Henry, 100-yard rushing.
Ooh.
Start one, bench one, cut one. Who are you absolutely sure on, semi-sure on, and you might be sure on, but not as sure as the other two guys? Dev, I'll start with you because I could see the wheels turning.
I'll start Jahmyr Gibbs. I will bench Saquon Barkley, and I'll cut Derrick Henry.
Ooh, wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. Can I take all
Derrick
three?
Henry's never been cut in his life.
No.
But he's being cut
certainly
right
hasn't.
here and right now.
Yeah.
Barrett looking at us like,
Whoa.
what is that? Barrett, what are you thinking with this one?
Man, this is so tough, you know what I mean? Because you got the two leading rushers with Henry and Barkley. And Gibbs has been a phenomenal player the past 3 or 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I would have to.
I actually don't like my answer.
The
more I think about it, the more because I don't like the 100 yards. Like I like Jahmyr Gibbs to score, but maybe not rush for that many yards.
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start Henry. I'm gonna bench Barkley, and I would have to cut Gibbs because I mean he was Sonic, you know what I'm saying, and he had his boy with his Knuckles, Sonic and Knuckles, for the entirety of the season. Those two right there, Henry and Barkley, they're their own superheroes. They have no, you know what I'm saying, they have their capes. They didn't have a sidekick. You know, it's like Superman, Aquaman. They were there, you know. Yeah. That was their guy. So I'm going to go Henry. Henry's definitely going to get 100. Barkley will definitely get 100. Gibbs, I love him as a player, but he didn't do it as consistently as those two guys, the two leading rushers in the NFL. So 100 yards, I can say those two will definitely get 100 yards.
Okay. Do you want to switch, or are you still good?
No, I'll switch. I think at first I didn't really in general I'd like Jahmyr Gibbs to score, but not for the 100 yards. So I'll start Derrick Henry, bench Saquon, and cut Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep.
I'm actually starting Jahmyr. I think Washington has the worst defense. So we throw the defenses in there. I think Washington's defense has been bad all year long.
I told you they got Payne back.
Man, I don't care.
Payne and Allen in there.
I think Jahmyr gonna get on those edges and go.
Allen back.
I'm going to bench Saquon, and I'm going to cut Derrick Henry.
Mm.
I think the other option, again, I know Kenny talked about the cold and running the ball is it's going to be 9 people in the box, layered 4-4 and a 1. And it's so cold. The football's like a brick. Lamar, you ain't got wide receivers like that. You got throw the rock, fine. Like you said, they know the stats of if he gets over 90, they win.
Mm-hmm.
We can't let him get over 90. And so that's my thought. That's my thought process as I get a scam caller on my phone. So that's what I think. Kenny, what do you think on this one?
I'm definitely starting Derrick Henry. I think mainly because of volume. Like I said, I just think that, the Bills are going to try to stop him and not let him get 90, but he's going to carry the ball 25 to 30 times, I think, in this game with no Zay Flowers. And, I think they would be foolish to let Lamar try to throw the ball as much. Like in these playoff games, for some reason, the game plan doesn't fall through in years past. And that's mainly because they haven't had the right running back. Now King Henry's there. I expect him to have a huge game. So he has to be the start for me. Mm. And then I think Barkley and Gibbs both play well. And for the same principle, I'd bench Barkley because of volume and then cut Gibbs just because I think Montgomery will eat into his work, although I think Gibbs has a good game as well. I think those are the top 3 leading rushers of divisional weekend.
Okay. I think all 3 of those guys can actually get 100. So I think that wouldn't be a bad parlay to throw in there.
Right.
Wide receivers. A.J. Brown, 100 yards. Puka Nacua, 100 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 100 yards.
Who was A.J. Puka and Amon-Ra?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. Barrett, I'll start with you. Start one, bench one, cut one from those 3.
I'm going to cut Amon-Ra.
Okay.
I would bench Nacua. I would bench Brown, and I would start Nacua.
Not starting your boy AJ in there, huh? Yeah. Okay. Deb, what you think?
I'm going complete opposite. I'm cutting Puka Nacua. I think that he had over 100 when the last time the Eagles and Rams played. I don't see that happening again, especially in the cold and potential snowy weather. I am benching Amon-Ra and I'm starting AJ Brown.
Mm. And I because they always overcorrect. Mm-hmm. The Eagles overcorrect when it comes to AJ every single time.
Mm-hmm.
He has less. I remember he had like 6 catches and only had like 30 yards.
I would bet him to have like the first reception of the game.
Oh, no question.
They like to be cute like that. And
right.
Like,
right. Overcorrect. Look. Yeah. We're throwing to him now.
Yeah.
We're going to overcorrect. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Kenny, what you think?
I would start A.J. Brown as well. I think you guys are right about that. I think him and Barkley are the main contributors for the Eagles on offense and this week. And then it's really tough. I think St. Brown has a really good game against a bad Commanders secondary. And although Puka Nacua will see a lot of Quinyon Mitchell, Darius Slay, who are very good corners, I think Puka has a big day because when they need him, he always steps up. So I'm going to cut Amon-Ra just because I think the Lions will have enough of the lead compared to the Rams, who might be trailing or in a close game. They're going to need to throw the ball. And I know the weather, but I think, like I said, I think Puka shows up despite a pretty tough matchup. So I benched Puka and cut Amon-Ra, even though I'd probably bet Amon-Ra for 70, 80 yards or a touchdown. I wouldn't stay away with that, considered you're just giving me tough options. Like these guys are probably going to be 3 of the top receivers of this weekend, just like the running backs.
And Amon-Ra, you got Jameis. Well, Detroit got too many weapons.
Yeah,
that's why I'm
like,
cutting him too.
I feel like no one ever has 100 yards because they're all like in the 40 to 70 range because they don't need to.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Also, just remembered, we didn't even touch on this. We don't have to go fully into this, but Devontae Smith didn't even play the last time the Eagles played the Rams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's right.
He was injured, I think.
Right.
You know, who knows if he even gets the ball with the way the Eagles are sometimes.
I know, right?
With their secondary wide receivers. So, but yeah, I'm cutting St. Brown. I'll start AJ. I'll bench Puka. That's what I'll go with. And just last one real quick. This isn't even numbers. This is your faith. Faith in this guy to play really well in the game that they're about to have. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. What is your faith? It'll start one, bench one, cut one. Of those three individuals. Kenny, I'll start with you on this one. What is your faith on those individuals just performing at the level they need to perform at?
You gave me Superman, Batman, and just a pedestrian. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to be that disrespectful to Jalen Hurts.
The disrespect
Jalen
is
Hurts
real,
is
bro.
obvious, though. These are the two of the best. Jalen Hurts, top 10 quarterback at best. Top 10 quarterback at best. These are the 2 of the 3-4 best quarterbacks in the league with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. So
yeah, they're literally the 2 MVP favorites.
Yeah, that's not fair.
You did Jalen Hurts so dirty with that.
Here's why I think what y'all are overlooking is Jalen Hurts has the weapons he has, and he's playing the Rams. Those two other each other are playing each other who are big dogs.
Right.
So there could be so it doesn't mean Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts wins and one of those guys are obviously going to lose, it doesn't mean Jalen Hurts is better. But he can have a better performance based on his circumstances. That's what I think, right? Like, so the Ravens and the Bills are playing each other.
Yeah.
One of those quarterbacks might have a bad game based on, having to play the Ravens.
Well, Allen
having to play the Bills. So that's why I thought it was a fair question. I'm not asking you who's the better quarterback. I'm just asking you who you think may have a better game. One of those two guys are playing each other, and the other guy in Jalen Hurts is playing a far less opponent, in my opinion. So that's why I think it's a decent question. So I'll let you continue, Kenny. I'm sorry. Let me get your answer.
No,
but that's why I posed the question.
Regardless of that, I would still cut Jalen Hurts because I do it. Like I said, I already picked the Rams, so I kind of got to keep going with that. I don't think he has a good game on Sunday, and I think the other two guys go to war. And although I think the Ravens win, the question is, who do I have more faith in? Josh Allen historically has been better in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson. I think the Ravens win because of coaching. I think Harbaugh's going to outcoach McDermott, and I think Derrick Henry is going to take over the game. But Josh Allen's going to do everything he can to will this Bills team. And Lamar Jackson's not going to have to play very well. I mean, he doesn't have his top receiver. He's just going to need to game manage with Derrick Henry in the backfield, get off some quick throws, run the ball himself. I think Allen plays better in this game, but actually I'm picking the Ravens. So I'm going to start Josh Allen, bench Lamar Jackson, and cut Jalen Hurts.
All right, let's go do this quick because we got to get our best bets in. But Devin, what's your take on this?
I think I'm going to start Lamar. I'm going to start Josh Allen. I'm going to bench Jalen Hurts, and I'm going to cut Lamar Jackson.
Ooh.
Okay. All right.
I'm going the exact opposite. I'm going to start Jackson. I'm going to bench Hurts, and then I'm going to cut Josh Allen. I think, the key is that defense going against Josh Allen is going to be huge. Hamilton's sitting there, you know what I'm saying? Those guys, I think they're going to play better against Allen than the Bills' defense against Jackson.
I'm going to start Josh, bench Lamar, cut Jalen. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to have I don't even think he's going to be asked to do as much as those other guys are going to be asked. So he just.
Well, yeah, that's the funny thing that, I know we're running out of time, but exactly what Kenny just said, Lamar Jackson can and will do is probably what Jalen Hurts is going to do, which is just hand the ball off to Saquon and let Saquon take over the
game. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get to our best bets. We didn't get to go through each game. Maybe if you have one from each game, you can throw it out there. Dev, I'll start with you.
All right, so I'm just going to go through my sides for each of these matchups. I like the Chiefs winning and covering the 8.5-point spread. I like the Lions winning. Actually, no, sorry. I like the Texans covering 8.5 as underdogs, but Chiefs ultimately winning. I like the Lions winning and covering the 9.5. I think they crush the Commanders. Eagles win and cover the 6 points. And I like the Bills winning outright.
That's going to be the tough one.
Right. I'm going Ravens with the points. They're going to win outright, and then I'm going Eagles cover. But then I'm having I'm going all out. I'm saying Commanders go ahead and they cover the spread. They cover the spread. They don't win, but they cover the spread. And I
can see that.
I think Chiefs went out right, and they also covered the spread.
Yeah, I can see that. I got the Chiefs winning the game. I got, like we said earlier, Travis Kelce, 75 yards and a touchdown in that game. I think the Texans actually might cover. But I'm not going to bet on that aspect. Lions, I do think the Lions cover. I'm betting on that. I think Jahmyr Gibbs over 100 yards and a touchdown. I'm going to go to the Eagles game. The Eagles going to win. I'm just going to go money line in this game. I think it could be annoyingly close and a backdoor cover.
Mm-hmm.
Like the game was a 10-point game and then they scored 7 with a minute left type of situation. I think it would be one of those games. And again, I'm going to go A.J. Brown, 75 yards and an anytime touchdown to be safe. And Bills-Ravens, I'm going to change my mind tomorrow. I'm going to change my mind in a little bit. Right now, I'll pick the Ravens. Maybe. I
think.
But I think, but I'm also going to guarantee Derrick Henry 100 yards in this game. So that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going with that. All right. Next week is going to be the week. All right. Hopefully the Eagles are still in it. Hopefully we get a lot of trash talking back and forth from Kenny and Kenny picking whoever the Eagles are going to end up going against.
Yeah, probably.
That's what I want to see. That's how I want to have fun, enjoy, win a lot of money. This has been the Sunday Spread.